Senator Cantwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations to all the nominees. Mr. Goldstein, I have a question for you. I know your responsibilities are going to be at the Office of Financial Stability, the implementation of the regulatory reform issues and implementation of the TARP program. Do you think that foreign currency swaps should be transparent, traded on exchanges and clearinghouses?
Yes, Senator.
And so why do you think there are other people at Treasury that disagree with that?
I think that the Treasury has put forward a comprehensive regulatory reform package, including improvements in the trading practices of OTC derivatives, including capital charges for non-traded OTC derivatives. And I think that the package taken as a whole is meant to restore confidence in the financial system and make sure that we do not put the taxpayers at risk in the way in which took place at the height of the financial crisis.
Well, last year Treasury promised to put all derivatives on regulated exchanges and clearinghouse, but then lobbied Congress to leave the foreign exchange swaps, which is now a $50 trillion market, out of the new regulatory, proposal. And I don't know, I just look at this situation that's happened with Goldman Sachs in Greece. I mean, basically Greece paid Goldman Sachs $300 million in fees for arranging derivative deals that hided their true debt. And then when things looked weak, Goldman Sachs turned around and did credit default swaps betting against Greece. And obviously we know what happened. I mean, it's all perfectly legal, but in my opinion, it's a scam, and we ought to have these regulated on exchanges and have them be transparent and have them go through clearinghouses. And you just said you agree.
I'm sorry, I misspoke as it related to Forex based upon my understanding of the administration's proposal. I would say to you, Senator, that the administration has put forward strong language to ensure that markets are not abused, that there's total transparency, that the regulators have the capacity to step in when they think that markets are not functioning properly, where there's not transparency or there's abusive market practices.
Okay, I'm confused, but maybe you can look at what Treasury's done. But you're saying that you support putting them on exchanges, clearinghouses, and exchanges.
I think, if my understanding is correct, that the Treasury proposal.
No, I'm asking about what you not the Treasury proposal. I'm asking what you think.
I believe that there is a place for some exemptions with respect to certain specific securities, but I think that the intent of the legislation should be identical to the principle that you've articulated, Senator.
What would those exemptions be?
I think that the exemptions would be in certain markets where you could adversely affect the trading in important securities, including the dollar, including dollar swaps and other things. But I look forward to to digging into this in more detail and working with you if confirmed.
Is that, what worries me is, like the Volcker rule and prop trading. Like, yeah, okay, that's a big loophole too. So I can't tell if what you're saying is because right now it's a $50 trillion market for foreign currency swaps, and we saw what havoc just happened with Greece. So I don't want to see, Treasury originally advocated for that, but then backed away and said, no, it's okay to have loopholes, which would mean basically an unregulated market, a huge percentage of these products unregulated. So I guess what I'll try to do is get a little more detail out of you, because I have another question that it's very important that I ask. But maybe we could come back in writing with you on what these loopholes are that you would support, because I'm certainly not going to support something that I think is going to continue to promulgate the problem that we have. On the small business area, which you're also going to have oversight over, what are your feelings on how we basically expand the viability standards for community banks so we can get more lending to small business?
I think that the administration has put forward a proposal to try to stimulate credit availability to small and medium-sized enterprises. That, however, would be to banks that are deemed to be viable. The objective of that standard is to make sure that if a bank accepts capital and stimulates additional lending. If you, in my view, if you change the viability standard for a bank so that it gets capital only to remain viable, you haven't achieved the primary objective. And the primary objective is to stimulate incremental lending to small and medium-sized enterprises that create jobs in America.
Well, what about, well, first of all, the IG has been critical of the fact that Treasury has not gotten a program implemented so far. And I remain very concerned that if capital is not flowing through small community banks to small businesses, that our economy is going to continue to drag. And so this is about getting this fixed and getting this moving. I still advocate that Treasury has the ability to implement this program under TARP. Now, I think people are considering moving ahead with a legislative proposal, but I still haven't seen a proposal out of the administration that gives us exactly how this is going to work on viability. And I think that's the very issue that the administration needs to drill down on. I think the American people are frustrated that they're getting performing loans canceled right out from under them. And when somebody asked about the viability of AIG or some of these other institutions, there was no question about viability. The money was just turned over to them. And so what are we going to do to actually get capital flowing again to small business? I think it's an urgent matter, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.